Hi, I'm Martini from Martini Mornings, only on moodfoodradio.com. We have for you an exciting guest. We chatted to her a number of years ago, but there are so many more interesting things that she has added to her huge plate of things to do to help us with our best friends in the world, yes, our doggies. We're going to meet again with Taylor Wheeler. Now, she is the founder of the Pink Paws Program. She's a certified dog behaviouralist. She is helping out programs over in Fiji, as well as Bali, as well as locally here. She's going into schools and letting them know how to deal with these dogs that we often get as cute little puppies and then end up as bigger problems and, then can end up at the shelter, and we're talking about horrible things happening there. So here to prevent all of that is Taylor Wheeler. Good morning to you, Taylor. And I've also got to congratulate you because the Pink Paws Program has been selected to participate in Charity TV Global Adventures All-Stars, which will be broadcasted on Channel 7 and across 25 countries. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very excited. It's amazing news. So our team is thrilled.
Well, welcome aboard. Now, I want to know about the Pink Paws Program, how it all began, how you got involved, because you certainly are very passionate about dogs and making sure everyone is enjoying their dogs.
Yeah, definitely. So back in 2014 is when I first opened the Pink Paws Program. We were just a not-for-profit, and we, over the last year, have become a registered charity. So that was a great success for our program. And yeah, I started out just doing this myself. I've been in the industry since I was 14, so nearly 15 years, and been working towards this. So it was something when I became a trainer that I really saw how many dogs are surrendered every single year, and how many people leave training as a last resort.
Wow.
And the amount of clients that, they may allow behavioral issues to go on for, 3 to 4 years. Then if training doesn't work in the first week, they decide to surrender. So we really want to try and put a stop to that and help people understand that there is education out there. There's free tools that you can use. So we actually created a podcast to help at these times. So it's a bit hard. We always travel around, but now we can reach worldwide more with our podcast and raising awareness for dogs, especially rescues, and, hoping that we can get all our rescues into a new home and also make sure they stay there.
That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Because as we know, Christmas is coming up. People do like to gift dogs. They do have great intentions when they are scouting for dogs. Look, we spend a lot of money buying dogs. However, as you say, sometimes they become unmanageable through no fault of their own. And then we're talking about the pounds and the shelters then have to deal with that problem. It becomes another bigger problem.
Oh, most definitely. And that's the thing. When you choose to surrender your dog, it is becoming a big problem for everyone in the rescue organizations or the pound. And there's only so much room at a pound. So if your dog's lucky enough to be accepted into the pound, that may mean another little one might be on their way out that same day. So it's just a really harsh cycle. So we want to raise as much awareness about that as possible, that you don't have to choose to surrender straight away. There is help out there. And the great thing about adopting a dog through a rescue organization is you go through a bit of a process. So you get to understand whether that dog is going to be best fitted for your family. They are really great at educating you on that. And then you also have a 2-week trial period. So we step into the 2-week trial period a lot to try and help people, just guide them through those 2 weeks so that the dog can hopefully remain in that home. But we can also help them have a good understanding whether that pet is going to be a good long-term option for them or not, just so that they don't get surrendered 6 months down the track. We would rather it a little bit earlier than later. But yeah.
So that support and education is so important then, rather than, you know, falling in love with a puppy. Look, we could be talking about you being a marriage counsellor, to be honest, Taylor, couldn't we? Translates a lot into a lot of decisions that we make, and a lot of you know, the outcomes of those decisions. But you've been busy again in trying to get the word out there. Not only do you go along to the rescue centres and out in the community talking to schools, but you've also put a podcast out and a book for kiddies. Tell us about the podcast first.
Okay, so the podcast is our dog training lifestyle podcast. And the reason dog training lifestyle is we want training to become part of your everyday lifestyle. Training shouldn't be a one-off course or puppy school and then we don't continue to train. It has to become embedded into your you know, everyday routine, and that's really going to help with our dogs' mental health and make sure that you are going to live the best possible life with your pet. So we brought out the podcast. Mainly, we had to put a little bit of a stop, unfortunately, to the traveling at these times. We can't move around as much as we were. So it's a great way for us to spread awareness as far as we can throughout Australia and internationally too, which is, it's been fantastic. And we interview rescue groups from around the globe, giving people insights on success stories and just some amazing people that are out there doing fantastic jobs that fly under the radar a little bit. People don't know how much work is going behind the scenes to put a stop to this globally. So our podcast is great for raising awareness and shining a light on those rescue groups, as well as giving education to everyone for free.
That's terrific, and also to be able to reach such a large audience, and I think it's really important as well. You've put out a book specifically for kiddies. Because it's really important, you know, a lot of kids don't have their own, you know, emotional regulation, that they don't know how to control their own emotions and anger, and then they've got to deal with an animal, which is, you know, it's a tough gig to pounce that on an adult, let alone kids, or even if there's more in the family. So tell us a bit about how the book came about then for kiddies.
Yeah, absolutely. So just like you said, you know, it's tough for kids to know how to act around the dogs. They've got a lot going on in their life. And really for parents too, we really want to educate parents on how to monitor the kids around the dogs and what signs to look for. Because if most people think if a dog has a wagging tail, that means it's an invitation to go in and pat them. And sometimes dogs will wag their tail when they're nervous and if they're actually displaying signs of aggression. So it's really important for parents to understand that. So we do community days, travel around to the schools so that we can meet with the parents and the kids and educate them on the best way to safely approach a dog, recognize the warning signs. And we thought, why not turn it into a fun book that kids can get involved with and parents can read them each night. So then we're really doing a bit of a double whammy and focusing on the parents and the kids. So we brought out Meg's Doggy Adventures, which is a beautiful, colourful book, and that teaches kids how to recognise the warning signs, what to do when they see a dog, and also who to ask, which is really important. You don't just ask mum or dad, you need to ask the owner of the dog as well. So that's what that book is about.
I must say, being a new dog owner myself, I mean, I've had dogs all my years, like a lot of people have, but we got a COVID puppy last year, and he's 1 now. And we walk him quite often. But it's amazing how many people do come up, or I've noticed other people with their kids go up to big dogs. And you know, and I've noticed a lot of dogs even have jackets on them saying, you know, not dog friendly, not kid friendly, don't touch, you know, just to but people don't seem to, well, in general, Taylor, not just talking about dogs, but people don't seem to know their boundaries.
No, and the jackets are a great idea, and there's leads and collars that people can get, and a lot of people will still say it doesn't stop others from coming in and patting their dog. It's sometimes really hard to put that message across, but yeah, I think it's the safest thing. It doesn't matter how old you are, you should always ask if that dog wants to be patted in the first place, because even if they're not aggressive, they may be scared or nervous, and that could interfere with their training on, you know, growing their personality. And if their parents are trying to, you know, get rid of any anxiety behaviors that they're showing, you coming over and patting that dog could only increase that and heighten that. So it's really important to ask the owners if the dog would even like to be approached in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, tell me, with COVID, because we, as I freely admit, we actually ran out the week of COVID lockdown last year and went out and bought our puppy, which has turned out to be a perfect match for us. But like you deal with lots of people, you know, you're going off an ad in the paper virtually, and picking up a dog unseen, which we did, and it's a huge gamble. And we have had to find out lots of puppy toileting problems, particularly, and anxiety when visitors come, which is a problem with COVID. I mean, have you noticed more problems increasing, different problems with the whole COVID lockdown?
Yeah, most definitely. We've actually noticed a lot, and even in different areas. Like, we have a couple of dog grooming salons in Newcastle, and the girls are saying when the dogs are getting dropped off there, they're so much more anxious to leave mum or dad. And we ask them, have you been at home a lot more lately? Are you working from home? And 9 out of 10 times the answer is yes, because, you know, we see those dogs every 6 to 8 weeks and they're usually fine, but all of a sudden that anxiety has crept up, not wanting to leave, becoming overly attached. So that's one thing we're noticing. We're getting a lot of people come through the rescue organisation as well, because you know, they're noticing behaviours that maybe they didn't notice when they were at work. That might be excessive barking or you know, digging. So they're noticing that and trying to get on top of it while they're at home. But the worry is, if people are, you know, overly training, overly working with their dogs every single day and creating a really solid routine during the day, when they do go back to work, that is going to make it really hard for the dogs to adjust. So it's important, even if you are working from home, try and give them that little bit of independent time as well. You know, keep them in the backyard if they enjoy being around, you know, in the backyard, or make it enjoyable by doing treat hunts and having puzzle toys, even a shell pool when it's getting really warm, filling that with water. Anything that you can do to make them enjoy that time outside more while you're working at home is going to be more beneficial than trying to spend too much time with them. If that's going to change, which I think for most people it will, they'll all be heading back soon to work.
Fabulous tips. And I think, you know, we have to keep being reminded of that. And so getting onto your podcast, getting onto your book, and reminding ourselves, because we do get stuck in ruts. I'm wondering how different the problem is with your affiliations in Bali as well as Fiji. How different is the problems over there with dogs and their behaviour?
Yeah, so they're seeing a big increase in dogs on the streets. You know, people not being able to house the dogs anymore, not being able to afford to feed them, because, you know, a lot of those countries do rely on tourism, and when they don't have the tourists, they're not making an income. So the dogs, unfortunately, aren't always priority for feeding. So we're seeing a lot more on the streets, which is also causing an increase on, you know, profitable needs that the organizations need. They need to be able to, you know, be able to fund and all the medication for the dogs, the worming, putting, like, they like to put collars on them once they have been wormed and vaccinated as well. So that's really important for us to be able to help those charities out so that they can continue to do that. And if you want to supply them with any products or collars, that's really, really helpful. But they are noticing a big increase in a lot of those problems over there, especially behaviour would be a big one.
Okay, so if people do want to and are interested and can look at donating to that, we can get in touch with yourself, Taylor, to facilitate that.
Yeah. So we've got links on our website to the organisations that we work with and try and help support. So if you do head over to pinkpawprogram.org, you can get in touch with them, and there's donation buttons on there. There's other ways as well, like spreading awareness, sharing, following them on socials and sharing their posts. That always really helps as well. So, but yeah, there's people all around the world at the moment that are needing a big hand.
Fabulous. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to see you on Channel 7 on the Pink Paw program featuring on Charity TV Global Adventures All Stars. How exciting, across 25 countries. You'll certainly be able to get your message across to a lot of people in different countries about how we can change the behaviour of the dogs in a really positive way, so that everyone can enjoy them as they should. They're man's, women's, kitty's best friend, aren't they, Taylor?
They definitely are, yeah. And yeah, everyone keep posted. Yeah, check out our website and socials.
Well, what we will do is we'll pop up on our socials and our website information if people would like to be ambassadors for that show coming up. Also, if they'd like more information on Hunter Animal Rescue, Aid Bali Vegas Animals, Hearts Alive Animal Rescue in Fiji, as well as the Pink Paw program, because you do it remotely, not just Hunter centralised. And of course, you've got the book and the podcast as well. So many things to keep you busy, Taylor. I better let you get back to it.
There's a lot happening, but thank you so much for having us. And yeah, we look forward to sharing more about our new adventures.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, that was the fantastic Taylor Wheeler of the Pink Paw program. We can't wait to see her on Channel 7 very soon, featuring in a fabulous program they've got there. If you have a doggy, if you have problems, she can certainly help you out, especially if you're starting to look out for a doggy or getting one from a shelter. There's a lot of things to consider. So she has it all covered. We'll provide all of her details in our socials. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I've been Martine on Martini Mornings, only on Mood Food Radio. Thank you so much, Taylor.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. Appreciate all